Hello and welcome to day 3 in this series of devotions called Aging with Grace. My name is Di and I'm part of the Andover Baptist Church community. There's no point in denying that getting older brings changes to our lives. Is there a silver lining? Well, who was it who said, "If you see me talking to myself, don't worry, I'm getting expert advice." In the book of Ruth, in the Old Testament part of the Bible, we find the story of a woman called Naomi. Naomi, her husband and their 2 sons had moved from Israel to a foreign country where they settled. Sadly, Naomi's husband died, but Naomi and her 2 sons continued to live in their new country. The 2 sons both married local girls, but then, tragically, both those sons died too. Naomi was now left destitute in a foreign land, and she decided she must head back to Israel. She generously released her daughters-in-law from their duty towards her, giving them the freedom to return to their own families so they had a chance to remarry and have children. But one of them, Ruth, insisted that she wasn't going to leave Naomi, and so the 2 of them made the journey back to Israel together, heading for Bethlehem, where relatives of Naomi's late husband lived. Once back in Bethlehem, the young Ruth was able to get food for them both by gathering grain left over from the harvest in the fields belonging to a man called Boaz, a close relative of Naomi's late husband. Naomi realised she might be able to secure a future for Ruth because Jewish law said that their nearest relative was required to either find someone to marry Ruth or to marry her himself. Naomi advised Ruth on how to approach Boaz about this, and respecting the law and cutting the story a little short, Boaz married Ruth and gave the women a new home. Life had brought Naomi, an older woman, widowed and now without sons, to a point where she was no longer able to carry on with her life as she had been doing. Big changes were ahead of her. As a wife and mother, she had been the principal female figure in the family, the matriarch, and would have had a good deal of influence. But as circumstances changed, she found she needed to let her young daughter-in-law move into centre stage. In many ways, of course, she had little choice, but it was the right time for her to take a step back into the sidelines and let the younger woman pick up the lead. Naomi didn't find these changes easy. Not surprising really, bearing in mind the tragic circumstances which prompted them. Her name means pleasant, but when she arrived in Bethlehem, she sourly suggested that rather than that, people should instead call her Mara, which means bitter. But the story continues, and her bitterness turned back to joy once again. Having married Boaz, Ruth became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Naomi, although she had lost the people she loved the most, found she was once again part of a family. She had a daughter-in-law who loved her dearly, and now she also had the blessing of a grandson whom she helped care for and who thrived and grew. As we get older, we too face times when our lives change radically, don't we? Getting to retirement age is obviously a big one, but it might also be prompted by changes in the business in which we work, or perhaps poor health or a change in family circumstances. When we come to the point where it's time for us to step back a bit and let others take centre stage, it can be difficult. We can feel a great sense of loss and maybe bitterness. Letting go can be hard, but sometimes it's the right thing to do, not just for ourselves, but for others too. Naomi could have had no idea how important it was for her to take that step back and nudge Ruth forward. And not just for her own and Ruth's happiness. Ruth and Boaz's son, Obed, went on to become the grandfather of the revered King David, who was an ancestor of Joseph the carpenter, father to Jesus. The song I've chosen for today is called Let Go by Matt Hammett. you'll find the link in the description below. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you can join me again tomorrow as we travel along this whistle-stop journey through life. Bye for now.